The transfer portal has been open for one day, and it's already gotten pretty wild.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Carter Bird, and thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. We greatly appreciate it. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. You can find us. We're also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there. Wherever you are listening, make sure that you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Also today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com, use promo code Locked On, and get at checkout and get an extra $30 off your order. All right, let's jump into this thing because things are crazy right now in college football. As we all know, the transfer portal opened yesterday, and it is total and complete madness. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. If you follow one of those transfer portal Twitter accounts, somebody new hits the portal every couple minutes, it feels like. And so, look, I mean, and it's hitting everybody. Some teams are losing tons of guys like Texas A&M and some others, starters, reserves, everything up and down the roster. They're all hitting the transfer market and I guess testing the waters here. And this is the first time we've seen this window, this designated window, and I think it's creating a lot of chaos. I guess in a way, it's creating a lot of order in the fact that you weren't having guys enter the portal in the middle of the season and basically, I guess, kind of quit on their team in the middle of the year. But it's also created a lot of chaos because there's so many players in the portal right now, and there's a short amount of time to, I guess, get them onto rosters. Look, I mean, we've already talked about transfers, the Northwestern transfers that came in this past year. There are a few hits, there are a few misses. Northwestern's going to lose guys to the portal in this cycle. They already have, and they're going to lose more. I mean, it's not over by any stretch. But we can confidently say Northwestern needs to add via the portal, especially coming off a 1-11 year. Next year is a crucial, critical year. But the good news with the needing to add part is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players entered the portal yesterday. And there should be plenty of options, a lot of potential ads for Northwestern's roster. It could be very fascinating. And there's a lot of really big names too. And that's probably been the most surprising part is the quantity of big names. And a lot of it is maybe people leveraging the portal to get more NIL money. That's something new that we're seeing more and more of. You're also just seeing people want different atmospheres, want to go somewhere else. I mean, you look at Texas A&M's got, I mean, they had the most players hit the portal of anybody yesterday. They had 11, 12, maybe even up to 15 players hit the portal yesterday. And it's been continuing this morning as well. Alabama lost tons of offensive linemen and other players, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. And then in the ACC, 6 starting quarterbacks hit the portal, and that's insane. You're talking about guys who are starting at a school that are now packing up shop and looking to go somewhere else because then they can get an opportunity with a different team. Some of them, like DJ Uiagalelei, I mean, he's looking to go out west more than likely, we believe. But but also, I guess keep an eye on that for Northwestern. We've seen the Clemson to Northwestern quarterback transfer move happen before. But yeah, I mean, there's guys all over. I mean, you've even seen movement inside the ACC from the aspect that Phil Dracovic at Boston College hit the portal, and so did Keaton Slovis at Pitt. Second year in a row he's transferring, by the way. And Dracovic snapped up Slovis' spot at Pitt immediately, it felt like. I thought that was very interesting to watch that happen. And you're going to continue to see stuff like that happen over the next coming days and coming weeks. There's a ton of receivers out there. There's a ton of defensive linemen. There's a ton of really every position. There's a lot more offensive line than I feel like there's been in years past. I mean, heck, Alabama's got 5 offensive linemen in the portal right now. They've got, and you can get an entire starting offensive line from Alabama. I mean, it just happens. It's happening so fast and it's so crazy fast paced that I don't think anybody expected it to be quite this nuts. And it's affecting every team. It really is. There's not going to be any teams out there that don't lose some pieces to the portal or don't add some pieces to the portal. Every team in some fashion is going to be affected by the portal, and Northwestern already has. It's to a lesser degree than a lot of schools, but so far there have been some Northwestern players in the portal, and that's what we're going to talk about here in just a second. But first, let's talk about our friends at Omaha Steaks. The holidays are here. Achieve gifting greatness when you give the gift of perfectly aged, tender, and delicious Omaha Steaks. 1 second. I got to find my little there we go. But yeah, make sure you achieve gifting greatness when you give the gift of perfectly aged, tender, and delicious Omaha Steaks. The steak experts at Omaha Steaks have put together a special curated gift packages to help take the guesswork out of the process of gifting and make you the holiday hero you deserve to be. Go to omahasteaks.com and use code LOCKEDON at checkout to get $30 off your order. Send an assortment of mouth-watering favorites guaranteed to impress, like the legendary Butcher's Cut Filet Mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken, ultra-juicy burgers, and even easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away, so shop early and beat the shipping rush. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart and a gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing that you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout to get an extra $30 off your order. Minimum order may be required. Also, we want to thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Okay. Let's talk about Northwestern and Northwestern's transfers because there have been some already. Look, there have been a few players, nothing horrendous, nothing horrific like you've seen some schools like Texas A&M or Alabama or some of these other big name schools that are having tons of talent go out the door. Some of these we've known for a little bit. Not all of them. Some of them have been pretty recent. I believe the majority have been pretty recent, I do believe. I think the first one that hit the portal was Wayne Dennis Jr., former 3-star, 6'3", 200-pound wide receiver. He made 20 appearances in game in his tenure at Northwestern. Just one game, though, in 2022. For his career, he has a tally of 4 catches for 42 yards. And it's worth noting that Northwestern was his only P5 offer. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I think he's probably going to go somewhere at the G5 level. But that'll be something to kind of track and see how it plays out. Next up, Wendell Davis Jr., the former Pitt transfer, is brought in to be. As you bring in a transfer, you expect them to play immediately, and he played a very sparing role on this team. He was a former 3-star with a decent Pitt career. 44 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks in 3 seasons there. Did not really make that instant impact that you would like to see out of a guy you bring in via the portal. Played in just 3 games, tallying 2 tackles this season. Not quite the impact you want out of a guy that you go seek out in the portal. A guy that I think Northwestern was expecting to provide some athleticism to the linebacking core that, to be honest with you, it lacks it. The linebacking core at Northwestern, we've talked about it before, I think it lacks athleticism. Next up, Jordan Butler, the defensive lineman, former 3-star. Northwestern flipped him from Vanderbilt on signing day back when he signed out of high school. Northwestern was one of his 10 P5 offers. He played a lot as a freshman, played in 8 games, played in 21 career games in his, I believe, 3 seasons. Tallied 9 tackles, 1.5 of those going for a loss. Those are your first 3 names. Maybe not the biggest impact names you've ever heard, but these next 2 are the ones that are going to hurt a lot more. And we're going to start with AJ Hampton Jr., the corner, guy who's at Northwestern for 5 years, 2-year starter, 2-season starter there. Missed 5 games this year with a foot injury, 44 career games. So right there, you see he's more than double anybody else on this list that's transferring out so far that we've talked about. 105 career tackles, 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, and 3 fumble recoveries, one of which was returned for a touchdown. He was an all Big Ten honorable mention nominee in 2021. Look, this one's going to hurt. This is a secondary that at the top end you thought was pretty solid this year, lacked depth. And now this is one of your top guys going out the door. It's going to be very tough to replace him as he goes to, I guess, play out his final year of eligibility somewhere else. He's going to use that COVID year somewhere else. But yes, this impact's going to be felt, and it's going to be noticeable, I feel. So that's one that really, really hurts. And the other one that really hurts, Malik Washington, the wide receiver, leading receiver in 2022, second leading receiver in 2021, former 3-star, had 16 P5 offers out of the state of Georgia. Previously entered the portal in 2020, but returned for his career at Northwestern, 120 catches, 1,348 yards, 3 touchdowns. This year, 65 catches, 694 yards, and a touchdown. Look, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This one hurts. This is a guy who's been a weapon for your offense, and now he's out the door. He's been your go-to guy for all of your quarterbacks. He's been your safety net, and now that safety net is gone. That is going to be killer for this Northwestern offense that already was bottom, one of the worst teams in points per game in the country as it stood already. I mean, you're gonna have to find a way to replace a guy like that. And then also you have the walk-on Tyler Haskins entering the portal, played in 25 career games, mostly on special teams, tallied a couple tackles in his career, and that kind of wraps up the group that is heading out the door. Not as many as you've seen with some other schools, but definitely a couple in there that you know are absolutely going to be felt. Some of these coming from positions that already lacked depth, and it's gonna test that depth further as we go. And we're gonna talk more about, like, what does this mean? How does this impact the roster? How does this impact what Northwestern needs in a second? But first, let's talk about our friends from Built Bar. Look, you got to try Built Bar. You really do. I mean, and we're talking those Built Bar, the new Built Bar, the reimagined flavors like the cookie dough topper, the coconut brownie bar, the coconut brownie topper. I mean, first off, for anyone who hasn't tried a Built Bar, I mean, they're literally the best tasting protein bars out there. I mean, I've got a package of them over in my kitchen over there, and whenever I need a snack, I turn to them. They sent me a box, and look, they're really so great. I absolutely love them. They're very delicious, and just what I need when I've either missed a meal and I'm hurrying out the door and I need to grab something, or if I'm hungry late at night, I'll just grab a Built Bar and I will snack on that. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it with 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein, and shockingly low sugar and calories, just 130 calories. You just need to sink your teeth into that first bite and it'll change your life forever. Which flavor is my favorite? I mean, look, they're all so good. They really, really are. And um, there's a raspberry flavor that I was trying the other day that's phenomenal. Really, all sorts of different options there, and they're all different. So you can order a mixed box and try all five flavors for yourself. Built, you gotta try this. And look, I really do believe that they're so very, very good. Also, thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. All right, let's talk about what is these exits so far out of the portal? What does it mean? Well, let's start with big hit to your DBs and your wide receiver room. Your go-to guy on the offensive side in the passing game, he's gone. He's gone, and that's a big blow for Brendan Sullivan, Ryan Helinski, whoever's going to end up being your quarterback next season. I would say it's probably going to be Brendan Sullivan based on what we saw in the back half of the year. That's going to be it's critical to go. This Northwestern team now has to go find somebody. They have to go find somebody to step into that role and make an immediate impact because Donnie Navarro, I believe, may be out of eligibility. And so there you go, right there. I mean, that's your number one and your number two guys. I mean, you've got Bryce Kurtz on the team right now, but he has yet to step into a critical role in his career. So you've got to go find somebody via the portal or a freshman that can step in and be the guy in the passing game immediately. On the defensive side, you got to go find a corner opposite Cam Mitchell right now. And I mean, we don't know exactly what the status of the DB room is, but you need to go find depth because that depth was tested, extremely tested this year because it felt like every game you had guys going out with injury, whether it be Cam Mitchell, AJ Hampton, who he's gone now, and even Coco Azuma. I mean, you saw guys going down left and right, and you need depth there. You need to go find somebody via the portal that can fill a role there. And can step in and give you quality depth and even start potentially for this Northwestern team in 2023. You also look, Peter Skoronski's out the door. He's out the door. He's going to the NFL. I don't think I've seen that officially, but he's a top 15 pick. He's not coming back. He's going to be out the door to the NFL. You're without Adetomiwa Adebawore, your best defensive lineman. You need depth on the offensive line. You got to replace a left tackle. You've had great success with left tackles here recently. This should be a decent sales pitch to go get somebody. And then on the defensive line, you need depth. You lose Jordan Butler. You lose Adetomiwa Adebawore. You lose some other depth pieces. You need more bodies for that front seven, really, in general. You needed the linebacker position too. You lack that sideline to sideline speed that is necessary at the Power 5 level. All of these things kind of are going to play an impact and in how Northwestern attacks the portal. And there's plenty of names out there. And you really, I think you need to sell to grad transfers the education aspect and the football facility, and see what you can come up with, because they're you need depth, you need athleticism, you need talent. Talent needs to be injected into this roster, because 2023 has all of a sudden, I guess not all of a sudden, but it is a critical season for Pat Fitzgerald, who's coming off 4 wins in the last 2 years, 1 win in 2022. Things have got to get back on track. It's going to be over a year since his last win when the season kicks off next year. So he's got to get talent in the door, and the transfer portal is the fastest way to get talent that can get on the field. But you've got to be picky, I guess, in the aspect that you can't afford to bring in a bunch of guys that you miss on, that ride the bench and don't play an impact. You've got to go get guys who can help the roster immediately. That's what I'm looking for out of this Northwestern team this offseason. What can they do? They got to go get bodies in a lot of positions, because the roster needs to have some significant turnover, because there needs to be more difference makers on this team for 2023. That's going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate you tuning in. This has been Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Carter Bird. Thank you for listening. Thank you for we're really just making us part of your daily routine. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can find us. And then we are also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern. You can find us there wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications. You don't want to miss an episode. Give us some feedback. Leave a comment. Always trying to make the show better, of course. You can follow me on social media at CarterBird13, and I'll see you all next time.